This interview with two women who embody sound through dance and singing explores how gender plays into their experiences with sacred sound as defined by them. My hope is that after watching, you will question different definitions of sacred sound and the possible limits in their manifestations.
Alright, my name is Leah. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I've been dancing since I was around 2 years old, when I started seriously dancing when I was about 9.
I'm Anna. I am from Amherst, Massachusetts, and I sing and dance, and I've pretty much been doing that my whole life, but I also I sing in Amherst College Chorus, or as we call it, WOCO, and have been doing ballet seriously since elementary school. Okay, so I'm a Christian, and the Bible talks about your spirit and your soul, and when you sent us this question, honestly, I wasn't even sure really of the answer and like the difference between those two things. But thinking about it, I feel that your soul is more like sort of the combination of your emotions, and you and like your sense of yourself. So you're like your thoughts and your emotions, and then spirit is the innate life that we have, and like your God-given life.
I mean, I sort of have this sense that like your non-physical self, this maybe because I'm Jewish/atheist, but your non-physical self actually comes from within yourself, and it comes from, the sort of sensory experiences and how you engage with the world in ways that aren't really easily expressible in words. They're sensations or feelings, and they feel like unable to explain, but they're still present within you, and they're still somehow in contact with the world and in engagement with the world. So that's my sort of conception of what it means to have like a non-physical sort of self or non-physical sort of mind. It's like this, your engagement with objects, your engagement with people, and like how that informs you of yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, that's such a funny question, because it's like the sense I have with dancing is just that I need to do it, and I'm like, I don't know why I need to be doing this thing, but I do need it. And I think it's because there are certain aspects of the essential self that are unable to be communicated in other means, and that, like, dance is the only real means of like getting that part of yourself out. And I guess that goes back to the previous question, because I think it is like the sensory self, especially with dance, and like the feeling self that so often is like held back in other situations, that in dance is just so present and easy sort of to get out, especially in improvisation. I think that's why I keep doing it, because I'm like curious about that part of myself, and I don't ever want to like lose it,
Yeah, I think we're all kind of seeking our own method of self-expression, and for me it feels like dance and singing is where I feel at home. Usually it's where I feel it brings me the most joy. It's just something that makes me really happy to do, but there is also this sense often of just sort of like, why? There are definitely times when I don't enjoy it. Growing up doing ballet, there are clearly times where I felt like not good enough at this, or I wanted to be a professional dancer for a long time, and I've kind of strayed from that and thinking about different options now. But it's something I enjoy so much, and I think that it's my purpose, and the reason I think I keep doing it is to glorify God and to worship Him as I do it, even when I don't remember that all the time. I feel like whenever I come back to that, I just find like so much power power and peace in it, just in my experiences.
So like what I sort of see as like the essential self, or like the otherworldly self, is I guess a sort of God. And I know there's like a lot of philosophies out there that equate like self with God, or like otherworldly self with God. So I just think it's interesting how, like, I guess, you know, that like you in a sense are worshiping God and you do these things, and I don't want to, like, it's not that I'm worshiping the self or like myself, but I am worshiping this self that's sort of like out there.
Yeah. Well, it can feel like a celebration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in answer to your question, I don't feel like so much that in a moment where music and dance are particularly resonating with me, or I feel like a lot of expression through it, or it is particularly powerful, I don't feel like it's me leaving myself in any way. I usually feel, if it's me literally worshiping God, then he does sometimes reach down and kind of stir up the pot, and I think that the Spirit of God really does come down and speak to me sometimes, and makes changes in this world. So that's kind of one component, but then I think also it's just this, it's a beautiful thing that humans can create and make, and that can be emotionally effective. Yeah.
I think, I don't know, there's just moments when like music is on and you're dancing, like the beat sort of sets in, and you just like feel something just like in your body that's like unlike, that is driving you to move, and it's like unlike anything else that I know. And I think, I don't know if metaphysical transcendence is something that's happening, but I feel like that's what I'm trying to move towards when I'm dancing. That like this music is affecting me in this way, and it's making me want to do these things or move in this way. And I think it's because I'm trying to reach this some sort of like transcendence that will happen because I'm dancing to music and feeling the music. And I don't know, I don't know like what is the point in which you could say like transcendence has occurred, but I think there's always this like attempt towards it that comes from dancing to music. I don't know, you just get into these situations in which you're partnering with men and suddenly you just become very aware of the fact that you're a woman. And I think, I don't know why this happens, but I think just like partnering with a man just puts you in context as you're dancing. And it's like not really something that you stop thinking about. It's like definitely, I mean for me at least, it's definitely like within my subconscious as the dance is going on, that this is a dance between a man and a woman as opposed to it being a dance between like two bodies, which is like, I guess, which is what I would rather it be. And also, especially because I had this one time when I was partnering with both Mitch and Paul, and they were both like on top of me, and we were like struggling. It was like a physical struggle, and it you know, it was just a sense of like this, I don't know, like at some point it seems like there's all these contexts that like come in and make you think like, is this a power struggle, like what's going on, and it totally just like takes away, I feel like, from what I wish it to be. And like I think what's like funny about the whole thing is that like, I wonder, I don't know this, but I like wonder if men have the same experiences when they partner with women, if like suddenly they're put into context as a man. Like I don't think it happens in the same way. I guess the dance is also a platform to sort of like break through that, right? Like if you're gonna be, you can as a woman you can be like always lifted by the men or always held by the men or manipulate, there's a lot of contexts of that within dance, especially classical dance, both modern and ballet, that sort of situation going on. And or you could just lift men and push back, like that's sort of that too, but that still doesn't mean you're not thinking about it. I think what's like
that almost makes people
more conscious of
yeah.
it. Yeah. So you don't ever get really, it's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, and in ballet, the way it's so structured off of our society, it's like Balanchine said that something along the lines of ballet is about the woman, literally, and so that's his point of view about why women are focused on is like the ethereal, beautiful fairies, and they're always the ones being lifted, and the men both mostly just jump around and support the women. Yeah, so that's interesting. That's kind of interesting in the context of ballet when it's just the structure of the art generally, the classical art form, is that we follow those guidelines just because of the choreography that we have and sort of the standards, but that doesn't mean that everyone is, trying to reflect or like represent some sort of inequality. Yeah. But it's interesting to sort of think about and try to respond to in your dancing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, especially nowadays, it's not like a thing that happens purposefully. It's something that happens sort of just like it's a byproduct of everything else.
Right.
And it's just sort of there. Not really much to do about it, I guess.
In singing, to make a transition to that, it's much harder for me to find a sort of experience like that. I've generally found that singing, particularly singing or harmonizing with other people, is very equalizing. You always feel, you definitely feel closer to people when you're partnering with them physically.
Yeah.
But in singing, it's sort of interesting, it's kind of more like mental connection that you feel like you have. You just like know that person more for the moment, particularly when you're harmonizing with them. I feel like, and it doesn't necessarily last afterwards, but just like when you have these kind of intimate experiences with people, it's just another example of the coolness of art.
Yes.
Of dance and singing.
No, that's such a good point though, because dance is so physical, and they're like almost like there's so many more contexts that have to do with physical connection than like mental connection, especially between men and women. So it's not really, now that I think of it, it's not like really a surprise. It's like men and a woman touching each other physically, like wow, like, of course that's gonna be something.
Right, but then there's something with singing too that's so similar.
Yeah.